Take 20, since my iPad's messing up a lot of the recording. But this is going to be another CD update. I'm going to go through some new additions I picked up the other day. 3 of them being Portishead's studio discography. But Dummy, this is a pretty good album. It's one of the, that happened. I got excited and that happened. But this is one of the first important trip-hop albums, and a genre I think more people should dive into if they're looking for some relaxing and at times trippy recording. This is peculiar. I guess it's like a 94 issue. But basically you just fill this out and you send it off and you get news letter from the band on tours or updates or something of that nature, and I think that's pretty cool. It's redundant now since we have the internet, but yeah. This is a great album. It's probably my favorite from them. Love how sweet Beth Gibbons' vocals are. Not as much guitar soloing in the other two, but I think that makes up for how interesting, how chill, how calming it is trip hop in general is supposed to be. This one also that, but less sampling, more percussion, kind of more of a rock oriented sound. Nothing too special with the booklet or anything. It's the same thing as that, except with less stuff. Third, on the other hand, is a whole different animal. It's after the hiatus, they just completely put their style on a whole different level. Plus, there's no newsletter thing since this came out in 2007, 10 years after their self-titled came out. There's some interesting percussion and interesting sampling on this album. Probably my second favorite, if the self-title isn't my second favorite. But to get into Portishead, if you mean to get into trip hop, Portishead, Massive Attack, Some Bjork, Tricky, and a bunch of other people. And as far as completing the studio discographies go, Joy Division. That was upside down. Unknown Pleasures, good album, but not one of my favorites from them. It was a little bit too, and people got upset when I said this new wavy. I say that because it's a album from the late 70s. Nothing special with the packaging or anything. But yeah, an album from the late 70s, and it just sounded too bright for a Joy Division album. Because Joy Division is supposed to be this gothic post-punk thing, and the production was just handled to where it was sounding bright. But it's still a good album. I wouldn't own it if otherwise. But this, though, look at this, Closer. It's a fantastic Joy Division album. Start out on this, and I wouldn't be surprised if you just listen to only this album. There's liner notes in the booklet right there. Live CD, plus the album itself. Excellent drumming, dark bass, really creepy, and not creepy, but just dark bass, and I enjoy it. But again, to Joy Division, if you're looking for a sort of a how-to to get into post-punk and gothic stuff, this being neither, in fact, at times the opposite. Extraordinary Machine by Fiona Apple. This is a good album. Probably my least favorite, next to Win the Pond. But Fiona Apple to me never put out a bad album, or anything less than great. But that's just me. This right here's got lyrics right in the middle somewhere. There's a oh yes, yes. It's like what I was telling my friends. Beautiful voice, poetic lyrics, great piano playing, and an excellent ear for musical composition, and fine as hell as well. But yeah, get into Fiona Apple. If not for what I just mentioned, but also because she is by far one of if not the most underrated solo musicians ever. Of right now, anyway. 10,000 Days, Tool. Some really complex in both lyric and instrumental alternative metal and progressive metal. And I still have yet to figure this out. I guess you're supposed to look at it and the image is supposed to converge or something. But I guess like the copy I bought at Best Buy, the lenses got a little messed up, I guess. But still, really interesting and great album. I listened to it over the weekend. Mostly just to get it, but because of how interesting and how varied in style it was. It was pretty good. Pretty great. Yeah. Run Sodomy and the Lash by the Pogues. Folk punk. That is a genre you need to dive into. Folk punk. This being a starter. Either that or the Andrew Jackson Jihad album, Knife Man, which I need to get a CD of at some point. Pretty straightforward. Isn't there a female in their group? Oh, there she is. She had the clothing right there. Are there any lyrics here? Oh, okay, yeah, there's lyrics here. That's cool. Sorry for that silence. I was trying to focus on something. But yeah, get into the Pogues. It's really interesting folk punk in that it's a combination of Celtic music, of original compositions and traditional music, mixed with a really bold folk sound. Like I never heard banjo, accordion, and tin whistle come together like that, aside from this album. Get into it. And next, my favorite Pearl Jam album, Vitology. Some people it's 10, but me it's Vitology. This is weird. This is probably the weirdest packaging I've ever seen. There's like the booklet's all like anatomy stuff from like the 1800s or something. These lyrics? I don't know any of these are lyrics or not. This is weird though. The CD's like concealed somewhere-ish. Yeah, right there. There it is, CD. Yeah, this is a weird album. My dad doesn't like it just because it was weird, but I love it because it's weird. And because it's rhythmic. Rhythmic in comparison to what Pearl Jam have been putting out. But yeah, get into this album. 10's great. Verses is pretty good. No Codes is great as well for what it is, but this is my favorite. Might not be some people's favorite just because of Better Man. That song that came out in the 90s that got popular. But yeah, get into that. Oh. my favorite Metallica album, Death Magnetic. I was a little surprised since there was a version someone sent me that had Beyond Magnetic next to it. But I still like the 10 tracks on here quite a bit. You see that? Freaky. It's like holes in it. It's like it's like, wow, I guess like the magnetic's like pulling you in to your grave. And there's also lyrics for each track I can't tell if it's in reverse alphabetical or something. I can't really tell the order it's going in. Other notes in the back. But Metallica are my favorite of the big four, so far anyway. But I'm open to other possibilities. Slayer has a couple good albums. Megadeth's a little too much. And Anthrax, I can't see myself indulging myself in, but this, do get into this, I guess it gets unnecessary hate, seeing how it's not 80s or 80s Metallica, but it's on par with Master of Puppets, if not better than Master of Puppets. At least to me, anyway. Funeral, Arcade Fire. I'm gonna try to get through this quickly. Get into Arcade Fire if you haven't. You already know I have copy of Reflector. If you've been paying attention to the other CD updates, liner notes, and I guess it's like a playbill type thing or something. Great album, like one of the greatest debuts in history, if not history, at least the past decade. In the history of Baroque, indie rock, that kind of thing. Oh, we're making good time, so I can show off this thing. Oh my god, yes! It's the 20th anniversary of an edition of Superunknown by Soundgarden. Superunknown being my favorite Soundgarden album. I love this thing. I'm completely satisfied with everything about this reissue. Every single thing, even the booklet, even this like second disc that has like demos, B-sides, and alternate versions. That is so cool. Look at this. You can tell I'm fanboying right now. Great frickin' grunge album. If you haven't gotten into this yet, not just this version, but like the album in general, get into it. It's, to me, one of if not the greatest albums of the 90s. Either Odelay by Beck or Blood Sugar Sex Magic by Red Hot Chili Peppers or something like that. But this, front run.